3 years ago, I set out to construct the most powerful nootropic stack for focus, motivation, and sheer cognitive horsepower. I logged hundreds of hours, sampled endless amounts of cognitive performance chemicals, and ran beta tests with soldiers from the United States Army. And after massive experimentation and ruthless trial and error, my work had finally paid off. I found what I was looking for.
All right, weekend sale. It's not the weekend. Today's Tuesday. Whatever. Week through the weekend. Let's just do that. Today's Tuesday. It'll be through Sunday. Sale on the Cortex product. $5 off. Enter the coupon code 5. You've been waiting to try the Cortex stack. Secure bottle now at livecortex.com. Use the coupon code 5 at checkout. Verbal fluency, focus, mental energy, endurance, and motivation, the capacity to want to work. That's the thing. I think a lot of people have issues like sitting down and doing work, then they have issues focusing, and then when they're communicating with people, they have issues with verbal fluency. Cortex was made to solve those issues. If you think about solving those issues, you've got to work on the neurotransmission that underlies those type of mental functionalities, and we do. We work on acetylcholine, we're working on GABA, partially in an inhibitory manner. We're working on the dopamine receptors. We're working on neurite outgrowth. We're working on all-around mental fluidity via membrane fluidity and phosphatidylcholine synthesis. So very powerful stack. We tried to mimic modafinil with a natural stack. That's what everyone wanted. livecortex.com. Okay, so, oh yeah, $5 off. Enter the coupon code 5 at checkout. Okay, so cool stack that I've been using over the course of the last, I think it's been about a year. I discovered that it stacks well together, and somebody reminded me, someone in the comment section here on the channel reminded me that this was a great stack to take, so thanks for the reminder. And it is the Alpha GPC's Theobromine stack. So just breaking this down in terms of mechanisms, just to give you an overview, Alpha GPC is a biologically available precursor to acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter you make in your brain that atrophies over time, that you release when you do neuromuscular stuff like lifting weights or even running, and that throughout the day, even in an acute manner, atrophies. Acetylcholine is associated with focus. There are various cholinergic areas in the brain that are involved in very particular cognitive tasks like focus and particularly working memory. I happen to think it has a lot to do with verbal fluency as well. And basically how you get acetylcholine floating in your brain or have appropriate amounts of it is a dietary complex B vitamin called choline. Choline goes through various metabolic processes like feeding particular gut bacteria, and then throughout its various processes it ends up creating acetylcholine in your brain. Biologically available precursors like of acetylcholine like alpha GPC go to your brain quicker, cross through this sac that prevents pathogens and other materials from getting into the brain called the blood-brain barrier, and thus acutely affects the brain, giving it more biologically available acetylcholine for focus, for verbal fluency, for working memory, for these types of things. And so alpha GPC is one of the many compounds that contributes to this acetylcholine in this biologically available way. So you've got alpha GPC, that's why it's a nootropic. But then you have theobromine. Theobromine is basically a xanthine compound, a compound in the xanthine class. It's a nervous system stimulant. It's very similar to caffeine. And on that note, epic coffee break. Okay, back to work. And theobromine is very stimulatory. We have done a video about theobromine and its nootropic benefits. You might want to just Google that or YouTube search it, Cortex Nootropic channel, theobromine, you'll find it, where we talk about how I cycled off of caffeine, took theobromine, and it was a great alternative. You typically find it in things like chocolate. It's actually one of the reasons why you should prevent your dog from eating chocolate, because they can't metabolize theobromine like we can. It can actually kill them. Humans can metabolize theobromine quite fine. It's a safe compound taken in very specific doses. We're talking about 75 to maybe 200 milligrams of theobromine, and that is essentially the extent of it. You could titrate up or down from there, but that's the sort of safe range that I would start with to see how it affects you. I don't require high doses of theobromine, but I would say this. So that's the overview. Combining the two is sort of like, I wouldn't say it's like combining caffeine and theanine. It's like combining caffeine and CDP choline or something, which is a great stack, by the way. Caffeine and CDP choline, probably 120 milligrams caffeine, 75 to 80 milligrams CDP choline, right? You've got stimulatory, you've got acetylcholine precursor, and then you've got, because CDP choline is stimulatory in its interaction with dopamine receptors, as well as in releasing epinephrine, norepinephrine. These are alertness-based neurotransmitters. And then you've got the caffeine working on adenosine receptors, preventing tiredness. But here's the power of the synergy between alpha GPC and theobromine. Pretty similar in that regard. You've got the biologically available precursor of acetylcholine, so you've got focus, working memory, mental fluidity, because you've got alpha GPC also working on phospholipid synthesis, which basically means membrane fluidity, fluidity in neurological function, and I'm quite sure probably in the prefrontal cortex frontal lobes, which is where your executive function is, so you can do cerebral tasks, cognitive work, laptop work. And you've got the benefits of alpha GPC in that manner. You're producing more acetylcholine, brain's working better, cholinergic areas of the brain involved in focus and all these areas are firing better because they've got more material to fire in between neurons. And then you've got the stimulatory effect, this is the nervous system stimulant effect of theobromine combined, right? Very, very powerful. So you sort of end up in a state where you've got functional working memory, verbal fluency, focus, that's alpha GPC, and stimulation, theobromine, the xanthine, nervous system stimulant. Doses. I always like to say go low on all bioavailable acetylcholine precursors. That is what I've come to learn over time. The higher the dose, the more the side effects. Having too much acetylcholine is a real thing and you don't want to be there. That's why people get tired, depressed, weird, and foggy when they take certain cholinergics and they go, oh yeah, alpha GPC doesn't work for me. No, it does. You're just taking way too much of it. So in this particular stack, my suggestion is the following. 100 milligrams alpha GPC, 75 milligrams theobromine. 100 milligrams alpha GPC, 75 milligrams theobromine. Now, if you have to titrate 25 to 50 to 75 milligrams up on any of those compounds, you will have to experiment and see what works for you, because some people just need more biologically available acetylcholine. If you're 55, you might fall in that latter category. If you're 25, you're probably gonna fall in the former category. You don't really necessarily have to take it with food or not. I suggest taking most nootropic compounds on a relatively empty stomach. You could have a bowl of cereal in there. Don't go eat a giant meal and expect for it to absorb quickly. And that's it. If you're going to drink coffee, be wary that you've got another nervous system stimulant, theobromine, in there that's part of the xanthine chemical class like caffeine is. It's going to be stimulatory as well. It'll probably potentiate the effects, so caffeine, alpha GPC, theobromine, but I would just say to avoid caffeine headaches, if you drink coffee every day, have a half a cup of coffee, probably an hour or so before you take this stack, and then just try to cease it from there. That'll prevent the adenosine receptor withdrawal from caffeine from starting to happen. You hopefully won't get a headache later on in the day or the next day before you have your coffee the next day, but you could still prevent the headache in general and have a little bit of coffee. This is a stack that I would use to basically do anything. I mean, I sit down and do focus work, sit down and do laptop work, sit down and do cerebral work. It generally lasts 2 to 4 hours. I'd say 2 hours in its maximum, and the ensuing 2 hours kind of slowly descending until you get back to baseline. And it's probably one of the safest nootropic stacks you can take. I would certainly cycle it if you're going to decide to take it like every day for a month. Take it for 4 or 5 days, cycle off for 2, follow that routine, and then after a month, switch to some other nootropic stack. That's generally our advice, you know, kind of our general advice to people. That's applicable everywhere. So try the stack out. Let me know what you think. If people have already been sort of fussing with the stack, comment below in the comment section. And the guy or person who reminded me that the stack is awesome, thanks for the reminder. Another epic coffee break. But we're done. Talk to you next time.